Sense organs are those organs that send impulses to the sensory nerve system in response to outside inputs. An individual uses their senses, which are biological systems, to experience sensation, which is the process of gathering information from their surroundings and reacting to stimuli. It is currently acknowledged that there are many additional senses outside the 5 traditional ones: hearing, touch, taste, smell, and sight. Sense organs are unique organs that help us perceive the world around us. They are a vital part of our existence and the only senses we have of our environment. Sense organs respond to certain physical occurrences and provide the information needed for interpretation through a network of nerves and various organs. Our connections and interactions with our environment are influenced by these senses. The eyes, nose, tongue, and skin are our 5 sense organs. These 5 sense organs are made up of receptors that use sensory neurons to transmit information to the appropriate areas of the nervous system. There are 2 types of receptors, generic and particular. Generic receptors are distributed throughout the body, whereas specialized receptors include chemoreceptors, photoreceptors, and mechanoreceptors. These are the visual sense organs in our bodies. These are photos that are sensitive to light. The amount of melanin in our body determines the color of our eyes, which help with vision by focusing on and identifying light images. The pigmented part of the eye called the iris regulates the pupil's size and width, which has an immediate effect on the amount of light that reaches the eyes. Behind the lens of the eye lies the vitreous body, which is filled with vitreous humor, a gelatinous material. This substance forms the ocular organ and delivers light to the retina located at the rear of the ocular organ. The retina contains photoreceptors, which are light-sensitive cells. Rods and cones are the names of the 2 distinct cell types that are present. Rods, located at the retina's periphery, these low-light sensors are also useful for peripheral vision. Cones, in bright light, these retinal cells are best able to detect color and minute details. Based on their capacity to distinguish between the 3 basic light colors, blue, red, and green, cones are divided into 3 groups. One of the main causes of color blindness is when any of these cone kinds are absent. Our auditory sense organs are our ears. They aid in the perception of sound. Vibrations in the air are detected by our auditory system, which uses this information to produce sound. We call it audio captioning or hearing captioning. The outer, inner, and middle ears are distinguished from one another. The outer ear guides these vibrations into the ear canal, where the brain translates them into audible stimuli, as all sounds are essentially vibrations. This sense is essential for maintaining equilibrium or balance in the body in addition to hearing. The tongue helps the sense of taste and flavor to be perceived. On the tongue, taste buds are located in between the papillae and help recognize different flavors. Often, if you can't smell something, you can't taste it. Another term for a pleasant feeling is gustaoception. The tongue's chemoreceptors function similarly to those in the nasal cavity. However, there are 4 distinct types of taste buds, each of which can detect a particular flavor, such as sweet, sour, bitter, or salty. In contrast, the chemoreceptors in the nose are capable of detecting any fragrance. The nose is an organ of smell. Our sense of smell helps us recognize different smells. Additionally, this organ aids in our ability to perceive flavor. Another word for sense of smell is olfaction. Olfactory cells lining the nasal cavity's upper surface. On one end of olfactory cells are cilia that extend into the nasal cavity, and on the other end are olfactory nerve fibers. As one breath in, oxygen enters the nasal cavity. Since olfactory cells have protein receptors that are capable of sensing minute chemical changes, they are chemoreceptors. These chemicals attach themselves to the cilia, which send a nerve signal to the brain, which interprets it as a fragrant smell that has significance. When we have a cold, the body produces mucus that obscures our sense of smell, which is why food tastes so boring. The largest organ in the body is the skin, which is connected to touch perception. Touch feeling is often referred to as tactile perception. Accessible skin receptors can sense touch, pain, pressure, and temperature, and they are present all over the skin. An impulse is produced when skin receptors are activated, and this impulse is then sent to the spinal cord and ultimately the brain. The idea of transduction and how information is processed are related to sensory modality. On the basis of their transduction mechanism, the basic sensory modalities can be categorized. It is necessary to divide the 5 main senses into more specialized categories, or submodalities, of the larger sense in order to list all of the different sensory modalities, which can total up to 17. Selecting a certain modality is the experience brought on by single stimuli. Somatosensation, for instance, is the general sensation and perception of touch. It can be further classified as vibration, itch, warmth, light pressure, deep pressure, or movement of hair. On the other hand, the overall sensation and perception of taste may be separated into submodalities that are dependent on different chemicals binding to sensory neurons: sweet, salty, sour, bitter, spicy, and umami. There are 2 additional sense organs in addition to these 5 that help us locate ourselves in our surroundings. They are listed in the following order. As a sensory system in the body, the vestibular system informs the brain about head position, motion, and spatial orientation. In addition to performing motor duties, this system also helps us maintain our balance and posture, stabilize our head and body while moving, and recognize how our bodies relate to one another. The vestibular system is therefore essential for healthy mobility and balance. The proprioception system is the term used to describe the conscious or unconscious feeling of joint position. This system helps the body recognize its own muscles, joints, and limbs in 3 dimensions, as well as the direction in which they are moving in relation to the body. We can balance on one leg, touch our nose with closed eyes, walk or kick without looking at our feet, and sense the surface we are standing on thanks to our proprioception system. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more educational content.